Good morning, boys and girls. Today we're going to talk about, in geometry, is midpoint of a line segment. Before we get started, I want to know if any of you know what a midpoint of a line segment is. Alright, if no one knows, let's continue. What is a midpoint of a line segment? The point halfway between the endpoints of a line segment is called the midpoint. A midpoint divides a line segment into two equal segments. Does anyone know what a line segment is? Well, a line segment is part of a line that connects two points. Wow. So by definition, a midpoint of a line segment is the point of that line segment that divides the segment two congruent segments. So below this we have a picture of two aliens on a line segment, and the red dot is our midpoint of this line segment. And the number 5 on each side show that each line segment on each side are both the equally linked to one another. So there are several ways to determine the midpoint of a line segment. There's method 1 and method 2. So now I'm going to talk about method 1. So method 1, if the line segments are vertical or horizontal, you may find the midpoint by simply dividing the length of the segment by 2 and counting that value from either of the endpoints. Now I'm going to give you an example of using method 1. So our example, find the midpoints of line segment AB and line segment CD, given that point A coordinates is -3, 4, point B coordinates is 5, 4, point C coordinates is 2, 3, and point D coordinates is 2, 0. So stop the video here, and after you have tried this exercise on your own and got the answer, continue on watching to see if your answer is correct to mine. So our solution, line segment AB is 8 by counting units. The midpoint is 4 units from either endpoint. On the graph, this point AB is 1, 4. And line segment CD is 3 by counting units. The midpoint is 1.5 units from either endpoints. On the graph, this point CD, line segment CD, is 2, 1.5. So below this, I have a visual of me doing the activity, this problem, and for the midpoints, I labeled where the points are. I also made sure to draw my two line segments so that you are able to have a visual to see how I got my answer. So now we're going to move on and talk about method 2. If the line segments are diagonally positioned, need to think clearly. Well, you need to think about it if it's diagonally, because the other method you can only use it if it's vertical or horizontal. So this method doesn't involve that. So when you are finding the coordinates of the midpoint of a segment, you are actually finding the average or mean of the x coordinates and the average mean of the y coordinates. So below here I have the midpoint formula for you so that you can see how to just the coordinates from any point that you are given. You need two coordinates to help you figure out the midpoint formula if you want to use this one. And keep in mind that the midpoint formula works for all line segments, vertically, horizontal, or diagonal. So here's an example of method 2. So find the midpoint of a line segment AB. So A coordinates -3, 4, and B coordinates is 2, 1. So pause the video here. Try to work on this exercise. After you have finished trying to do the exercise, click play so you can continue on to see if your solution matches mine. So my solution. The midpoint will have the coordinates -1/2, 5/2, parentheses. So as you can tell, the previous method I used, my coordinates were decimals and these coordinates are fractions. So when you have any coordinates, it can be in fraction form or in decimal form. Hopefully these methods will help you find the midpoints of a line segment. Bring questions with you and I'll see you in class tomorrow, Miss Hernandez. And for homework, I would like you guys to do pages 453, question number 5, 7, 9, 10, 15, 27, and 30. And now, my goal for this activity is to help students visually see how to find midpoints of a segment and understand knowing just the line segment itself is part of a shape of a polygon. So if students are able to find the midpoint on one of the sides of the polygon, just learning about just a line segment in general to find the midpoint, they are able to use this lesson to help them figure it out on an actual polygon. And the outcome of my lesson, hopefully, as I said, will be able to calculate their own midpoint, use 2 different methods that works best for them to figure it out, and also understand that you can use decimals or fraction in your coordinates. So hopefully this is clear enough. Thank you.